Hello, hello, hello. Today I'm talking with Reet and Yabing. We talked about the power of community and how what we learn for coaching is useful in our private life too.
I'm Ivanul from Who's Agile. My pronouns are he and him. Welcome to my channel. You see a lot of agilists around me on this screen. If you want to hear me interviewing, please click that subscribe button because these are the people that I've invited so far. If you think I'm missing people, let me know in the comments. And that like button, well, if you liked today's interview, don't forget to click it.
Hello, hello everyone. And with me I have actually two wonderful ladies and I'll just try it. We didn't discuss it up front, but I think the first name is Reet and the other one is Yabing. Is that how I should pronounce the names?
That is correct.
Wow. Okay, that's always nice. I on purposely don't ask it off camera. I want to ask it on camera because that's a little bit how we live these days. We're working with different kind of cultures, and it's always what's the name? And then it's. I prefer to actually be wrong on camera and just be corrected because that's the world we're living in, and I think that's important that we do dare to try it and dare to say like, okay, this is and. I'm here, and I need to show it a little bit on screen. I'm here in Belgium, in Europe, and we're going, and I'm now first go to New York, where Yabing, you are, if I'm correct, of course, not the exact location, and then we keep going to a little bit further to Portland, actually the other part of the US, if I'm correct. And so that's a little bit how we roll these days, and let's bring both of you back on screen. A really wonderful conversation that is across the world and across time zones. Because on my side, it's let's say 20 minutes after 6 in the evening. What's the time you're being on your side?
It's 20 minutes after not midnight, the noon, 12:17.
12:17. And Read for you,
I
it
am
is.
3 hours behind, so it's 9:17 a.m.
So, but still, it's all we're all the 23rd of January. Is that it?
That is
Yes.
correct.
So we're still. So I'm actually calling from the future for both of you, and in a way, really wonderful. Before we jump into the questions and everything, it might be nice if you would give a little introduction about yourself. Who are you, and what do you want people to know about you? And who wants to start?
I can go first. So
Okay.
I'm a former Chief Information Security Officer and the founder of Security, where we help organizations in two ways. First is providing fractional CISO leadership, and second, AI security risk management. I
Mm.
am coming with almost 25 years of experience, having led security and IT teams across finance, retail, pharma, biosciences, and higher education. I've always worked in the intersection of people and change. And that's why my point of view from leadership is that security is not all about the controls, it's about the
Mm.
choices that we make.
Okay. Very nice. And Yabing, what do you want people to know about you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I've been in cyber for close to 25 years. And prior to that, I was a developer, so being in technology close to 30 years. Currently, I'm in New York, work for a company called JustWorks. We particularly serve small business. We do payroll benefits insurance. And I'm the head of security and also head of IT. So I've been multiple CISO role and first time take on the IT role, but it's very interesting, particularly at this whole AI stage that everyone
Mm.
is looking at leveraging AI. Of course, from security, we're looking at, hey, safely, responsibly leveraging AI to support business. And I agree with the Reed, like as a very long time security professional, my philosophy is never about compliance driven, control driven. The whole philosophy is that we exist for the business, right? If you do 100%
Mm.
security, no business existed. So our goal is really about enablement, enrichment, and possibly if security can become a revenue generator, that's even the best.
We are,
And
and many people actually, especially folks who are on the technical side of security, sometimes they miss this point, and even some CISOs as well. Our role as a leader in cybersecurity is all about risk management, so that we can enable the business in bringing the strategy to life.
I really like that. And actually, what I wanted to, and both of you are here because you've been invited by Tanya, if I'm correct, if I correctly remember this. And why the two of you together is because you both collaborated on this book, the 97 things every application security professional should know from O'Reilly, if I'm correct, right?
That is
Absolutely.
correct.
And so that's yeah, we'll talk more about other books, but that's one. And it's always a little bit strange to say it's your book, and I know it is your book because I know how it is to collect such a book, and at the same time it has collective wisdom from a lot of experts. So it's not just the two of you, but it's that might sound wrong, but it might be more the people that you know in the security that bring the knowledge and that you group together in these kind of things. And yeah, having collected not a well, I've collected a similar one on agile, not for O'Reilly, but with also a lot of people, and I know the work it takes to actually collaborate on that and collect all that information and rewriting emails, and because people say yes, but then they don't deliver, and then everything that goes into that. So so that's also a lot of work I think that you did, both of you, for this.
I
So
do have a story to share,
yeah,
which
please
is
do.
behind this book. Is that, in our industry, we talk about power of connection. And
Hmm.
I do have to say that Tanya was the one who actually reached out to both me and Yabing, asking if we would write this book. And until that point, just 1 week prior that, I had no idea that I would like to author or co-author a book, until I was in Executive Women Forum. We had
Mm.
this one day before the conference where it was a coaching exercise for 100 executive women. And the coach was asking this question, as part of that engagement, was that, where do you see yourself after 5 years? And for some reason, I just wrote that maybe I would like to write a book. I don't know. And apparently the mic came in my hand, and I said that, and I said, I don't believe that I'm saying it. And on that weekend itself, I got this proposal. So just wanted to share that
Wow.
power of connection and sending the message to the universe is so powerful.
Yeah, the universe really takes care of us. We say something, and all of a sudden now we have to do it because someone else says this is a great idea. You should do it. And I know someone where you can do it together with them. And before you know it, you're like, oh, I'm actually doing this. That's
And to
you
add
have yeah.
to add
Please
on
do.
that not only like you mentioned the agile world, a different area that it's probably also collaboration, but security in particular, right? Hackers, advisors are all there. And if
Mm,
we quoted fight with them individually, we will never win, right? Only we work
mm.
together, we collaborate together. That's
Yes.
the collective power and the wisdom together. That's how, in general, we can fight against them. So security in particular, that really needs the network, the community support, the contribution from each of us.
That's really wonderful to look at that way. And indeed I can see that. So really we wonderful, we already jumped into stories before we even went into the question, so that's how I prefer this conversation to go. So really wonderful. Let's start with that first question. What is something that people usually don't know about you, but has influenced you in who you are? And like I said up front, I'll leave it up to you to decide who starts.
I could start with I think the big figure I had in my life was my
Hmm.
dad. My dad, even though he was in academia, where like in universities, but he's like a president, like for university. So he's really well recognized as not only the management but also like an educator. Where I respect him so much when I was young about he how much he does for the university for others, because I watched him, I observed him that how he was capable to do many things. But at the same time, he was so good, within the family, that helping out here and there, frankly, like my brother and I never liked the cooking from my mom. We also wanted the cooking from my dad, right? From that perspective, as a family members, I noticed many things. I look up to him, right? He kind of shaped the way I am today. So, for example, do a comparison. My mom would be like a very typical parent. Put your clothes on. Why? Because it's cold. You don't feel cold? I think you should put it on. I'm more of like that. My dad will never do that. He treated me as an individual, even though I was very young. He never thought, oh, I'm a dad, you should listen to me. No, he treated me as an individual. He would walk through his reasoning about, oh, maybe there are three options. And the reason I choose option A is because of this reason. How about you? What do you think? Right? The approach had to raise us up really, let me kind of respect and treat everybody as an individual. Doesn't matter what's your title, doesn't matter what you do. Everybody's an individual, has your own opinion, has your own experience. And also the way that he look at things more strategically instead of focusing on individual ones. The whole personality he has and the approach he has, I think really shaped myself of like my philosophy, like the way I do things today, the way I
And
view.
if I can interact a little bit, what I find very interesting is that you said that, okay, this is the way my father did it and my mother did it differently. My mother would say you have to do this. How is it for you as a young child to be having both of these parents? Because one way you have a parent that allows you to basically ask your opinion, and the other says, no, I do it my way. How is that for a young child to deal with that?
I think what I did was I will naturally follow what my dad says without ask. Mom, I may go with what she told me, but I never believed it. I will do it, but it's not from my heart.
This is interesting because you say your mother forced you more to follow without questioning. Your father basically allowed you to question. And now as an adult, I hear it's almost the opposite. It's like, okay, I just follow my dad automatically. That's very interesting. Although I assume that he's still
That's
okay,
called
wrong.
influence. That's
Right.
called influence, right? It's like when you are, influencing others, people are waiting to follow you, waiting to follow you. That's a
Yeah.
leadership, quality.
That is the leadership, and but I also know with young children that's really hard. Like I think all parents, or at least me as a father, I want my children to basically question authority and have very similar like what you just said. But if it's I don't know 8 in the morning and we have to get to school and I have to get to work and things are not going fine, it's really hard to then do the stance that your father said, because it takes time. It's much faster to just say, now put on your clothes, blah, 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 I don't want to. But in the end, in the long run, your father's choice is actually the fastest one. But it's sometimes hard as a parent. So I don't know if you
On
now
that
are.
note, on
Yeah,
that
go
note,
ahead.
just to add one more thing, that on that note, through both of them, to your point, I also learned what I want to be when I'm a parent. Right? How should I train my kids as well?
So
And
yeah,
that's beautiful. I do have to say, Yabing, that is such a good parenting tip for me as I am trying to transition from, like being your mom to being your dad right now. In my household,
I've never heard it. This is such a nice way. I'm transitioning from a mother to a father. In the out of context, this sort of sounds completely different, but yes, I understand so much what you're saying.
Because
Uh,
I have learned that when at different ages of these kids, and even our employees, right, like when they
mm,
are interns versus when they are engineers, when they are leaders, or a demeanor, or the way we are managing, the way we are leading, it needs to change over time as well. And that is what I'm learning with my son, where I have always loved to embrace change. But it has been hard with my son because I initially felt as if I'm losing control, like, he's going to be detached from me. But what your dad did is the practice which I have just started implementing in my life. And I've realized that my son and my relationship has become way better now. I like that, when you said that your dad would give you choices. And will tell you still, like, this is a choice I will make, but now you are free to decide what you would which choice you would choose, right? It is amazing. So thank you for bringing it up, because this morning also, like every morning when I'm meditating, I'm thinking about how can I make my relationships better. And with my son is one special one which has a special corner in my heart. So
Hey,
thank
hey,
you.
Reet, one more thing you just said is when he gave me choices, he shows the respect, but
Yes.
also he taught me take a responsibility because the
mm.
decision was mine, not his, not my
Yes.
parents.
Yeah, I have a nice story about that. Very similar, or I think similar to what that I experimented with. At some point, I think my son was, I don't know, 5 years old, maybe 3 years old, and it was snowing, and he didn't want to wear a coat to go to school. And so my partner really had big discussions, and you have to do it, and blah blah blah. And it took enormous long time amount of time. And so the next day, same story, but now my partner is gone off to work because she sometimes starts early in the morning, and I'm the one who's bringing them to school. And I already heard the story, so I had some time to think about. So when he started out, like an hour before that we have to go or something like that, I said, okay, you know what? If you don't want to, that's fine for me. But if before you decide, I want you to go out. I think I said 5, it could be 10 minutes. You go outside 5 to 10 minutes. No, I said a particular time. And if you can stay out that long without a coat, you don't have to wear your coat to go to school.
Yeah.
And so I think like less than half of the time he already came in and said, I'm going to wear my coat.
Daniel,
Now,
you're
the
right.
the
I
interesting story is when my partner arrived in the evening, and she said, what would you have done if he would have said, like, I don't want to wear it? And I said, I would have allowed him to do. And then I had a fight with her because she was like, no, you can't do that. And I know that we would have had a discussion with the school, because then the school would have called, he's here without a coat or whatever. But I was like, and I think that's a little bit what you said earlier on, like, if I give that option to the child, I have to respect it, and he has to learn the consequences of not wearing a coat.
Yes.
And so I have to teach him, and I give him some options. But if he really still insists, I have to take that risk. But it's only a day, and okay, that will be cold. But it's Belgium. Yes, there is snow, but it's not like it's freezing cold. You're not going to die. You're still in school. I'm pretty sure that the teachers would have taken care of him. So I was ready to take that risk. My partner didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
It's
So, it's interesting that we are already talking about these choices and
mhm.
how to provide that empowerment to other individuals to to make the right choices. I was not going to bring up the book yet,
Mhm.
because I think it's
I
too
told
early.
you these things
But I
bring
think this
come
is
up.
appropriate to bring. I did wanted to mention that I read this book as part
Mhm.
of this exercise itself. When I was trying to improvise my relationship with my son, was that I read this book, and it helped me in accepting that you cannot force readiness or growth
Mm.
or alignment. You can only create boundaries and allow ownership. for your team members. And I think this is because, even when a child is growing up, initially they are with you until they are 5 years old, but then they go to school. And now, most of the time, they are spending with their friends. They are gaining new experiences. So, their frame of reference becomes shifted from the
Hmm.
frame of reference you have, right? In the same way, when we go to work environment, we are working with so many smart individuals who have their own frame of reference. If we keep on telling them exactly what they have to do, we are actually not helping them, but we are actually making them feel crippled over time, right? So I just wanted to bring this book. Like, I think it's a must read for many, because it talks about how the frame of reference is different, and also, the that you should, like, there are things which you have control over. You should focus on those rather than focusing on the things which you don't have control over as well.
Hmm. And indeed, that's it's. I think all of us, we have ever encountered people who basically want to be fully told what to do, but don't want to think, and that are they are that somehow they are taught that way. It could be at home, it could be at school, it could be in a first work relationship. I don't know where, but it's sad for me. It's sad, and it might be. I've worked with somebody who said, Eve, like, I was coaching that person, and that person said, like, okay, but I'm going through a very tough time, lost two parents, got into a divorce, and a lot of other stuff. So that I at that particular time, I understood why that person was this, and I later on worked with that person again, like 5 or 10 years later, at a different company, and that person was completely different. So there might be also just circumstances where people like, okay, just give me something to do, and I will do it, but don't yeah I my brain capacity is already busy with dealing with other stuff. But I love so much how both of you bring it, like, okay, we're going to teach children, for these kind of things. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
I
So
want to move already to your story, Read. I don't know,
yes.
Yabing, if you wanted still to add something about what you learned, but
No, go ahead. I want to hear
Yeah.
that too.
So I want to share that I'm coming from humble beginnings. And I was not that naturally brilliant child. I actually even had, I think, when I was growing up, I had several health issues as well. I was not the
mm,
smartest in the room. But what I had was that I was the most committed. I was
mm,
raised by a single parent, which was my mother, and she played such a pivotal role in my life. And the only reason I was committed was because she was such a hard worker, and I felt that I wanted to improvise her life. So
mm,
I was the one, amongst my siblings as well, who would work relentlessly. I will keep on taking small steps one at a time. I would get up early in the morning every day at 4 a.m. Since I
wow.
was 5 years old. My dad passed away when I was 5. So people sometimes ask me, people think that I'm crazy that I get up at 4, but my system is tuned to that. So what it taught me was that mm, what it feels like to be underestimated, because there was this one time when somebody said to my mom that she won't even clear ninth grade, because she
Mm,
is not that smart. But I took it to my heart and I worked so hard. So now, as a leader, I pay special attention to those who are quite in the room and who don't have that sponsorship yet, and but at the same time, they do deserve that shot. So I make sure that I focus on them. So I think it has brought that empathetic leadership style in me. It
mm.
has showed me that when somebody is given that option, somebody is given an opportunity, they can truly shine if they have been given proper guidance and so on.
Yeah, and what I'm well, you just um, I would add to that is that you were not just given it; you basically were kind of forced into it because, yeah, um, if you're living with a single parent, that's hard. But typically, what I've noticed, I am not from such a situation, but I do have lots of friends in similar situations, and I know that, yeah, they see a parent or their children see someone who is indeed committed to doing a lot of work, and you don't want to, yeah, you want to show like, hey, this is all worth it. At the same time, I would say, as a child, that puts a lot of pressure. That I don't think your mother did, but maybe you put a lot of pressure on yourself. I think.
I did. But I think it was preparing me for the future. At that time,
Mm,
maybe I didn't see. But when I was transitioning from IT into information security, I do have to say that I met with several gatekeepers. And gatekeepers are so real. Doesn't matter which stage, which stage you're trying to cross. And because of those gatekeepers, I was constantly getting imposter syndrome again and again.
mm,
But I made sure that I was not making it as a hindrance. I was taking the steps to get to the next level of the game. Like, for example, I cleared my CISSP. I was like, okay, now I am into, like, I've crossed this gate, right? Next gate, okay, I want to get into risk management. Let me do C risk, right? So keep on taking the steps till you cross these hurdles. Don't let these hurdles block you from your growth.
yeah, and what I heard is you already had gatekeepers at school where people were telling your mother like, okay, this child will be, and I think it's so important for people to hear this because it's, yes, of course there are some people who are really smart and really good, but most people, they get somewhere much more by working hard than just by some talent. Because I know some really talented people in sports and other kind of thing that never went anywhere, especially because in the beginning of life, things might go very easy because they never have to do anything for school and they get great grades. And then they go to university, and for the first time, they're surrounded by people who are as smart or maybe smarter. And then they have no idea how to be challenged, and someone like you who has been challenged right from the start, partially because you have also a mother who's doing everything on her own. That also means, because I hear you have siblings, that also means your mother doesn't have the time to sit with you and to help you in school every day, because hey, there's other kids, there is work, there is the household to do, I think.
Mhm.
So you don't get the same chances as other people, and it didn't block you, and it maybe even helped you. But like you say, of course, most people don't realize that at that time.
And
Uh,
that defines into who truly I have become. Because
mm,
I when I see underrepresented minorities, I can already see in the back of my head the challenges they have gone through to get to where they are. So I want to hear their story. I want to be their advocate. I want to be their voice. It's
mm.
just like, I think it has become an intrinsic value for me. And I do want to share a short story, if you
Please
don't mind.
do.
So, when we talk about imposter syndrome, right? When you have come through so many hardships, sometimes in the busyness of that, you forget what values you bring to the table, what experience you bring to the table, and all that you are capable of. I have to share this, that when I took the CISO role, I actually did not even apply for that role. I had never even thought that I will ever be a CISO. It was somebody
Mm,
else who was sitting in a meeting where I was presenting a multi-year plan based on risks that my team had captured, that what should be a strategic plan to get the proper funding for it. There was somebody who was sitting in the room who applied on my behalf for that role, and I got it. And I even initially I questioned him and questioned myself, and I said, I'm not even ready. This is a two-step level up for me. But the reason I'm bringing this story is that believe in yourself. Don't
mm,
underestimate. Always have big dreams. because you don't know what.
But when you said, wait, I want to go back a little bit. You said you didn't apply, you didn't believe in it, but then you say also dream big. Was there already in the back of your head some idea like I maybe once want to do it, but maybe in 5 or 10 years, or was that completely off the radar for you?
It was completely off the radar. I am very honest. Like, I,
Hmm.
I didn't even think that I will, because I thought maybe I needed to have MBA as well, because, like, this person is supporting the business. I didn't understand that I have gone through several transitions in my career. I am
Hmm.
not coming from a traditional cybersecurity background. I actually did my civil engineering just because my mother could not afford to send me to the college where I was getting admission in India in computer science. So I
Right.
had to do civil engineering, and my heart was not there. So when I transitioned into IT, before I transitioned as an immigrant, my first job was as a flight attendant. So I learned customer service over there. I have worked in different jobs. I've even worked as a bank teller. I have, worked as a sales agent as well. So I think I got those customer service skills early on before I even got into IT. And when I got into
Mm.
IT, I knew that we are here to serve the business. So that's why that thought never left my mind, that we are always going to be a support function, right? So when I was looking at the CISO role, I thought, oh, it's so high. How can I get there? Like, I never even thought that I would get there, but somebody else saw that for me, that I am already ready. That's the point I'm trying to make, that maybe I should have done some introspection. Maybe I should have thought about, okay, what all can Reed do based on all the experiences that she's bringing to the table up till now.
And when that person introduced you to it, was it easy for you to accept that
No,
because
initially it wasn't. I felt that it's kind of a joke, but I like he said,
but
just
wait,
go.
wait, wait. When you say joke, you mean a joke as okay, this is just fun, or a joke somebody making fun of you?
No, just for fun,
Okay,
right?
just for fun. Okay.
So the individual, he was my very close mentor. He's no
Hmm.
longer with us now. His name is James Summers. That was in Nike. At that time, I was there. And when he applied on my behalf, he just told me that just go through the interview process. You have not got that position. And I said, I don't have the experience to get to the CISO role. And he said, you will never be experienced until you put on those shoes.
Yes, and I think this is so important that you bring that story and that you had a mentor who believed so much in you because I heard many stories indeed, like many women, they wait until they have like 200% of the requirements before they want to apply for a job, where many men would, oh, I can do 10%, okay, I'll just apply and we'll see where things go. And so there's a lot of things similar. Wonderful stories, both of you. Let's move to that second question because I have the feeling we might run out of time. So let's go to if you had not been doing what you've been doing now, do you have any idea what could have become of you?
Go first, Reet.
No, you go first. I think I already
Okay.
did too much talking.
Yeah, I this probably comes back like to the father thing again. That is because both my parents were in universities, and I grew up in the environment. Right, teaching is something I really loved,
Mm.
and to the point that Rita you just mentioned, right? That if there's someone, whether it's your mother, whether it's your teacher, see something good in you that you even didn't see, those impact, those influence from the again teacher's figure is something that I always wanted, right?
Mm.
Is how you make impact to others, how can you influence others. I also came from originally philosophy and a psychology background. So the humanity part of it, liberal arts part of it is something I enjoy most. So if I say I don't do, If I didn't transition to technology, if I didn't do the cyber, I probably will be a teacher, researcher in philosophy, psychology, probably not computer science somewhere. That's how I saw by myself.
And at the same time, I think with a lot of what I hear already about you, you are teaching. You just don't do it at university, but you are teaching.
Yes.
And maybe in the world of today, you have more influence than I don't want to disrespect university student teachers, not at all, not professors, because I know quite a while, few of them. But yeah, if you're into a certain industry, you have influence both in the companies, but also in the clients of the companies and the people you're working with. So, and if you're teaching to people inside your company, yeah, you have influence at that level as well.
Yeah, on that note, that most people don't know about this too is that 2009, I was a little bored um, on the work side of it, and I actually took on a, another path. While I was working, is to learn to become a life coach.
Mm.
I went through all the trainings, the whole 9 yards of it, because I told my husband, number one, that I love liberal arts, philosophy or psychology. I love, people. But two, at the same time, the things I learn for being a coach can benefit to my family, right? To the relationship with my friends and the work as well. So we put our personal money on there, and I became a life coach, even though I never left the work to become a practitioner on that piece. But back to your point, things I learned, I apply everywhere at work, with friends, with my family.
So you don't, yeah, you don't have the job role of a life coach, but you're coaching people in real life in
Yes.
a way. So that's really wonderful. Reet, what's your story?
So, as I mentioned before, that I love uplifting people, especially underrepresented minorities. So, if I was not in security, I would love to be a healer.
Mm.
And that healer does it, like, I just recently learned this, where I recently lost my mom. It is going to be full year in next month, and I was going through this personal journey of healing. I was still grieving, and I had to actually go through. I needed to work on myself, so I went through therapies, I went through Reiki healing, and so on. And I realized that the kind of healer that I want to be is not the energy healing kinds, but the
Mm.
healer through words, right?
Mm.
I would love to be a public speaker. I'm already doing some of that, but I would love to inspire people, to uplift them, and to remove those fears from their life. Like, I'll give you an example, which is directly in my current life. In my current position in as a security leader, is that insecurity, many people use fear, uncertainty and doubt to try to influence that we need to implement security controls.
Right.
I like to move away from the fear component. I want to show them that let's not think from fear perspective. Let's think from what is important for our organization. Like, what do we need to truly secure, right? I want to remove the FUD component out of it. One other example I would give is that on AI side, right? Right now, people are not fearful of experimenting in AI, but they are
Hmm.
fearful that they might lose their jobs, right? So, what can we do to make sure that they are no longer fearful? One example, so I am right now enrolled in this Chief AI Officer program with Chicago Booth School of Management, where one of my peers shared this story. She is working for a company which makes these cleaning appliances. And there were several janitors who were being told to use these appliances, and these are going to be autonomous, like these are going to be not autonomous but automated um, appliances for cleaning. And so the janitors initially they hesitated. So when their leaders went to them and told them that, hey, the starting of these appliances and stopping of these appliances, you have to do that. And if something goes wrong, you are going to be fixing these appliances. So their mindset was changed from that they are no longer going to be a janitor, but they are going to be an engineer, was
Mm,
a complete shift into their mindset that now their roles have been uplifted, right? So
right.
I would like to do something like this where I am eliminating the fear from people's life and showing them the clarity and helping them get uplifted in their careers, in their personal paths of their personal journey.
That's really wonderful, and I think in many ways with the stories I already hear today, that's what you're kind of doing in a way, and like you said, taking away the fear part because indeed. Uh, I've seen tools used inside of companies all when they want to make awareness around security. It's almost always about fear and things will go bad and blah, blah, blah. Like yeah, but I want to do if I'm I'm a business owner. I want to yeah, I want to do something and I don't want to worry about things. And so that doesn't always help if it's focused on the fear. Indeed, if you tell me how, yeah, things can make my life better in many ways, that might help us in many ways.
I
So
think
really
like
wonderful. Yeah.
I think, especially on the AI side, what we need as leaders is amplification. Amplification for people, like, okay, how does AI amplify your life, and how can it make your life easier in a
Mm.
secure manner?
Yeah, well, I think it's true for many things, and in AI is one of these things where we definitely need to figure it out. Because well, I think many people are using it, but sometimes we always don't always look at good ways of how with the risks and everything. So let's find ways and let's help how we can deal with that. Um, I feel that just like with the previous question, I can go and talk for more than an hour just about this question. But I also know that we have to watch the time. So let's go to that third question. What is at this point the biggest challenge? And of course, the biggest challenge that you want to share openly on the internet, and why is it a good thing for you?
Go ahead, read. I had the first two.
So, my biggest challenge right now is going from leading a 100 plus people team in large organization to building a startup where I am the entire team right now. I'm doing business development, I'm doing marketing, I'm doing operations, finance, sales, everything, right?
Mm,
It is humbling, and um, it's also amazing because it's forcing me to grow in these new ways, right? We talked about the brain earlier a little bit. So and brain is a muscle, right? So I'm flexing the muscles right now, and these muscles I did not need them before, but now I am creating that positioning for my new company, and I'm creating it from scratch and learning what is working, what is not working, what is truly creating the value, and
mhm,
it's making me more agile. Sometimes, like, it's earlier, I was in another call where I was talking about somebody was talking about perfection, right? I am really all about perfection, but now in this new role I need to learn how to be less perfect initially, right? I need to think about MVP. But at the same time, how can I gain more momentum? How can I have impact at a scale? So I think there are a lot of things which I'm learning right now, which will be very helpful if I do decide to come back to an operational role. it will be amazing to get all these skill sets with me. But at this time, it's a struggle. But at the same time, I'm also very excited because I'm learning all these new things, which I never did in my security leadership role.
It's I love this story because it's well, big companies and startups are completely different beasts, and some people are only made for one of both. Again, these companies, one is not better than the other, it's just different. But indeed, as a consultant, I've worked for both, and I love both because of the different dynamics. But it's always a shift when you go from one thing to another. Yeah, there is it's a lot of challenges. And what made you do that shift and say like, okay, I now want to leave these large companies and I want to work in a startup environment? What made you do that shift?
Yeah, so I was working as an executive director in a company called Merck. It's one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. And
Hmm.
just 11 months into my role, my mother got diagnosed with a highly aggressive cancer. While talking to doctors, they told me that she doesn't have more than a year. And I had to choose between that operational role versus the operational role to be with my mother, to support her during this time where she supported us through all those years. And so I decided to go back to India to take care of my mom and build as many memories I could in the moment. So when I came back, I was still healing. And I felt that it was not right for me. I was
Wait,
actually
just
getting,
just to make sure that I fully understand, you did that, you went to India, and then you stopped your job at that moment.
I
You
did.
basically took a sabbatical, right? Did I hear that
I
correct?
actually left my job because I knew that because I was just 11 months in, and
Hmm.
so I knew that I could not take a sabbatical.
No,
I
no.
actually did not even ask for it, to be
You
honest.
took your own sabbatical without getting paid, basically.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. Let's go back to the story.
And it was so, I feel that now when I think about it, sometimes people ask me about that judgment, was that a right decision to make? In a heartbeat, I would say that was the best decision I made, because I will never get that time back with my mom.
Hmm,
And
exactly.
it actually helped me in healing, as I'm going through the healing process. But after coming back, when she passed away, after coming back from there, I got two very good offers for deputy CISO roles in Fortune 100 companies, but I was just not ready at heart. I felt that I would not be able to do justice to the people who will be reporting into my org because I was myself healing. So I started doing consulting at that time.
Hmm.
And I decided that, hey, why don't I give a shot to opening my own practice? So that's why I just thought that let me do this while I was still healing.
Really wonderful story about, and yeah, just also the backstory on how to go there. So thank you for adding that to the story.
And it's
Yabing.
consistent to her early story because her mom really made a big influence on her, right? And that really made you like love her so much. And I still think you made the right decision from
Yes.
all kinds of
Uh,
aspects. So
yeah, I find it very interesting why people would question that if that would not be a right decision. Okay, maybe they just asked to because they wanted to be confirmed that it was the right decision. But of course, it feels very much the right decision. Again, other people might have different experiences and might say, okay, we missed out on something. But being the time together with somebody who's just have a couple of time left, that it really is an important thing to heal, and to do that for yourself.
And so I would like to add two more things there, right? So when we talk about these roles, right? I think when you are working for a big company, over a period of time, you've gotten hang of your role and you are comfortable, right?
Mm,
And I do want to mention that comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there, right?
mm,
It's not when you are dealing with your life and your career, it has to go hand in hand. The growth has to happen in both spheres, right? If I wouldn't have taken that step, firstly, it would have been, I would have never ever been able to excuse myself that why did I let my mom die all by herself in India, right?
Mm,
Because I could not bring her here. I was still, I did not have citizenship, and that's why I couldn't bring her here with me. But at the same time, I also wanted to be that example for my son. I
right.
wanted him to learn the empathy piece. I wanted him to learn the respect piece and so on. So, because they are watching us. So, I just wanted to be that example for him as well.
And
Kudos.
did he join you when you went back to India, or how did that go?
Just once, yes. So I was going there every 6 weeks because, like, my son. So sometimes when people talk about when you turn 40, that you have this midlife crisis, that is what a midlife crisis is. I learned that your parents are dealing with old age at that time. You are going through the peak of your career, and your kids
Mm,
are going to high school or going to college. So I had motherly duties as well. So I was 6 weeks I was here, 6 weeks I was there. So he came along with me this one time. Yes.
okay, really, yeah, and that shows him again that indeed how you take these responsibilities. So, Yabing, what's your story?
My challenge is very different, but I think it's common for so many people. We just had that topic. That is that, as a leader for both the security and the IT, and I'm any operator, right? CIO, CISO, CEO, whatever, now is the AI world. And this is so different than anything we encountered before. I started to join the workforce late 90s. That's where internet started. That's where e-commerce, first wave of e-commerce started. And we thought that changed everything. And then you have whether it's mobile comes in, whether cloud comes in, there's just so many things. If you look back at the technology advancement, things are there. But none of those, shape world so differently, like now, right? So we are not only as leaders, not only looking at how we can leverage AI for all kinds of reasons, whether it's productivity, whether it's efficiency, whether it's innovation or anything like that, is definitely that not only empower the business but also change the world, because we do payroll and others, but it's like every business has an end goal to bring value and make an impact to the world, right? That's one, like a big piece. Second piece we kind of touch on as well, it's shaping us individually as well, right?
Mm,
So, okay, our day-to-day life, the way we used to rely on, you call that, like, we highly rely on internet, highly rely on managing social media, and now we're relying on like AI. Our world is different too. So in combine both of those is like, as IT leader, that we really want to figure out every single way in every single quarter to enable the business. As a security leader, you also want to make sure that we are using this in a safe way, right? If you call that responsible AI. And frankly, we talk about community. In the whole security community, we did not figure out everything, right? For responsible AI. So we're still in that phase of like being challenged, trying to figure out what we can do together with the movement of AI. I think that's a number one challenge for me right now. But if you look at a spectrum of from negative to positive, I'm more towards the positive part, generally in life, but also towards AI. It's like, yes, there are, unknowns, there are downsides of AI. And from changing the world perspective, there will be some issues. But I think AI brings more good things, shaping us in a way in the right direction. So I'm very excited about this challenge, even though we're all struggling, including me.
Yes. And one thing I wanted to add to that is that Yabing, uh, as the world is changing for us, it is changing so fast.
Yep.
I have a couple of courses on LinkedIn on AI. And I remember that when I created the script for it and when I was recording, on
Yep.
the day of the recording, I'm like, oh my God, like, there is this new news which came yesterday. I want to include that in there. On the fly, we are making those changes, right? When I am right now enrolled in the CAIO program in Chicago, Booth School of Management, I already know that by the time I'm going to be out, some of the learnings that we are doing are going to be irrelevant based on the new findings we are going to have through this through the span of this next year. So I really think that all of us, we need to be ahead of the game always. We need to keep on learning what is new. Like, it's like a couple of years ago it was GPT, but then, like, now we are talking about agentic AI, right? Agentic AI, like, I don't know what is going to be next in next few months. So, and I think I know that we have Europe AI Act from regulatory point of view in Europe. In US or at a global level, I know that there are going to be regulatory changes as well. There is so
Yep.
much influx right now for leaders, both at information security and IT and beyond. The life for everybody is going to be changing,
Yeah.
but it's very exciting.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
way that every company, I talking to my peers, everybody look back. Today's company is already different than 6 months ago because of AI, right? The way you practice that, the way you introduce that in your company. But I look at another one to say, my older son right now is in a PhD program, and I was chatting with him about this AI application in research. So he said that, well, in research, we don't do this a lot because blah, blah. I said, you know what? I'm not sure that's really true. This could be because I told my son that you didn't dig enough about what AI can enable in the research world. And you may not know there are tools already can speed up the research, right? There are certain things. Well, the reason you guys were a PhD doing deeper is because, like a better word, you guys are smart. You will read many, documents. You can draw some, ideas, conclusions. You know what? AI can do that. I'm sorry. So it's like
Yeah.
you got
I-
to know, right, how to leverage those two.
Yeah, I can add to that. So my all my children are are studying right now, and indeed one of the friends of one of my children, I had a conversation with, I don't know, about a month ago, and doing research for I don't know what's the dissertation, I think, something like that. And indeed, um, basically what this woman did is asking, okay, give me all the topics around this. So this is the library of the school, whatever. Give that all to AI and tell me which are from this list of 300 articles and books. Give me the 10 ones that are around my topic and tell me why I should read them. And then, yeah, instead of reading, so now before people would read like 10, maybe 50 articles, maybe 100. Now asking AI, give me 200, 300, maybe 1,000, and give me the 10 or 20 best. So, okay, I still have to read them as a student, PhD or whatever. I still have to do the hard work, but I can have tools, agents helping me out, telling me, hey, in your direction, what you want to discover, these are more articles in that thing. And again, I still have to do it myself because there is a risk that the AI is wrong. And
Exactly. And that's the part I said, like we're teaching everyone in the company as well, is like, please do not blindly trust the AI output. That the human being comes in is really for you to really figuring out, digging into the real thing, right? But it gives you something that you can leverage, that you can spend less time trying to find things.
And I loved how you started out with back in the early 90s when the internet was coming, because that was the same thing. I still remember at home with my parents, we had encyclopedias, like, I don't know, multiple ones for reading and looking at things, and now we have Wikipedia, and there is actually much more in it. It's more up to date. Okay, it might be wrong at some level, but the books that were in my parents' house, they were not updated. Okay, every year you got an extra book, but to read into that, that was really hard. I would basically just read into one topic, and I wouldn't go back to all the other years to see was there an update for this particular article. I never bothered because, well, first of all, in the beginning years, I didn't understand that part. It was my father who explained later to me. But also, I would probably not have done that. And every, I don't know, 10 years, they bought a new encyclopedia with full updated with everything. But that was just almost impossible to read and to use it. And so everything changed there. And I think it's a very similar change, only this time companies realize it faster, much more people using it at home. Again, internet was also first used at home, but people used it to do whatever kind of thing they didn't really understand. But now you can't have even a very small company that's doing plumbing has to have a website and it has to have lots of things on there.
Yes.
And probably in 5 years they have to have a chatbot where you can ask questions to get I don't know what kind of things. Really wonderful challenges. But
Yabing, when you talked about the hallucinations part, that we need to know whether the output which we are getting, whether we can fully rely on it or not. I think one of the like in future, when we are hiring folks, one attribute which is going to be critical is common sense. I think I think people will need to have that common sense of whether they should trust the AI output fully or not, in especially in critical decisions, right? Like, yes, when we are talking about document review, it's so helpful to get the knowledge that we need. If like US, when you were talking about a book getting updated or an article getting updated, just to get just that snippet of what got updated in there, yes, it's good. But there are challenges which businesses are running into these days, like automated approval of invoices and so on, right? I really think that people need there was this conversation happening that with all the agents now coming into play, agentic AI side of things, there are so many decisions being made by these agents. How can we put human in the loop in everything? We are not saying that put human in the loop in everything, but in critical decisions, use that common sense of where it will
well,
make sense
and
to
I
put.
think it's yeah, and I think it's important to realize that it's based on data, and if data is skewed, we talked about earlier on about people getting the chance. Well, minorities don't always get the chance, and so the data has less data on minorities or skewed data, and so there is a big risk that things will get a lot worse because of that, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So really important to look on these kind of things. So ladies, I feel a lot of passion, a lot of desire, a lot of things about that. And that actually is that next question. What drives you? Where is that passion coming from?
Go ahead, Reed.
So when I started, and I know Yabing can also vouch to that, is that when I started in security, there were not many women in there. I've been in certain rooms where I've been the only female, and there were 35 more CISO men there, right? There have been several instances where women or folks coming from humble beginnings, they have seen me rise through the ranks, and they have come to me and asked me for guidance or mentorship on how can they get there, right? Or when I'm producing courses on LinkedIn, or writing books, or writing blogs, people get inspired. Like they will see that, okay, if Reet can do it, I can also do it, right? When I was a CISO in one of the largest higher ed institutes, when we were hiring, like sometimes when we talk about women, you'll be surprised. I had a different problem that when we were hiring, women used to come for interviews because they used to see me sitting up
Mm.
there. So they were like, if she can do it, I can also do it. And that is what truly drives me. That how can I keep on taking the next stride, because somebody is watching, somebody who needs to watch, somebody who needs that inspiration is watching me. So I need to be on top of things always. I need to take those big strides so that I can pull them along with me, knowingly or unknowingly.
That's I can yeah. a lo- just like you were depending on your mother and you had to do good for your mother, now you have to do good for the rest of the world, basically,
Yes.
to do that. So that is a big drive, I would say. Yabing, what's it for you?
A little similar but different. That I have a life model for a while. That is, I don't pursue successful life. I pursue significant life.
Hmm.
Successful life is about myself. Significant life is about the impact I made to others. That actually drives me. CISO role is a tough role, and it's not a win-win situation, like that. But why I'm still here doing that is whenever I see the change I can make to the company, to business, or to anyone, every day I say, hey, who did I help? What value I provide?
Hmm.
Whether it's work, whether it's life, that give me a lot of like satisfaction, excitement, passion that I will do it again. Every day I want to be a better day. Every day I want to see what I changed. That drives me from very young.
I
And
love when you say that you immediately interject. It's not just work; it's also life because
yeah,
it's for both. I kind of hear the same thing with Reed. You didn't
yeah,
mention it, but it felt really like, okay, I'm that example. So many women look up to me, or other minorities might look up to you. But it's not purely work. Is that a correct interpretation, Reed?
It is, and I want to add a little story to that. So
Okay.
last year when I was grieving, I was just not there. And I would cry, like if I'm driving with somebody, all of a sudden something will, like there will be a trigger and I will start crying. There was this one time I was driving with my husband, and he just parked the car on the side. And he said to me, you remember the times when you were constantly going to mom? And the reason I was going to my mom again and again was not just to take care of her, but actually, the first time I went to see her when her cancer was diagnosed was that I asked her, what is there on your bucket list which you have not crossed yet? So we
Mm,
made that list, and every time I was going to India, we were making sure that her bucket list was getting covered. At the
wow.
in my last moment, with like last meeting with her, at that time my son and my husband were present there as well. And I asked my mom, she was on the bed, and I asked her, is there anything else on your bucket list? And she said, no, I feel content. I Whatever I needed to do in my life, I feel fully content. And he said to me, you will also be there one day. What answer would you like to give to your son at that time? Would you like to give him this answer that I wasted my time in grieving in all this time, or would you like to give some other answer? And the answer which came from within was that I would like to not just inspire people, but I would like to build people's lives. That is why
Mm,
building this practice, so that I can hire them, I can give them that livelihood that they need in a good culture. So that's why I actually started this company. I just wanted to put it out there that yes, there is a connection between not just inspiring, but Yabing actually brought a very good word. The significant life, right?
mm,
Maybe I was not wording it correctly, but I love the concept that giving others, not just yourself, but giving others that significant life is
yeah.
huge. It's very
I
powerful.
I also run into situations already more than once. People, met me again years later, and then the question was, Yabing, did you remember this? Did you remember help me that? Frankly, I don't remember. And then they said, oh, you made such a dent in my life. I just did not tell you. Or, it's like, oh, that makes me happy.
Mhm.
Right? That
Mm.
makes me happy. Is like it's not intended. It's like just naturally becomes me, becomes my life. But when I heard people change, people are happier, are better because something I did, something I said,
Mhm.
that drives me.
And you know how we started initially about sending messages to the universe? It's the words. Power of words is so important. The words that you say, the words that you write,
Mm.
you don't know the impact of those words, what it is causing on somebody else's life and their life's journey. Sometimes you being like, I don't even know some of these people. I will run into them in the conference and they will say, oh, you remember you wrote this article on LinkedIn? And I could very well connect to it, and it helped me in XYZ ways. And I'll be like, I don't even know, right?
Yes.
Like, you don't even know. So that's why I think whatever you are doing, it has to has that good intention in mind, that I am throwing this stone in this pond with a good intention, that these waves are going to inspire someone or make somebody's life better.
Yeah, I want to add a little thing that you kind of weaved in is that we don't always know, and that's something I've heard many times here on this podcast, and I want to stress out how important it is that we keep telling. And ever since the last couple of years, since I've been doing this podcast, I think I did it before, but even more, I'm trying to, yeah, tell people what Chris Matt said, a daily thank you in a way, like, okay, keep telling the people, like, hey, I stand on your shoulders. I learned this and I learned that. And sometimes it's a small little thing that, okay, somebody shared on social media, and sometimes it's a big thing. Like, okay, when I was going to a grieving time, like your husband, just you talked about what your husband did for you. Some of these things can be really big, and but it's important to mention it to people. I think all of us, we had a teacher that meant so much for us for whatever kind of reasons, and most of the time we forget to tell it, and then once in a while we meet someone at the conference that tells us, like, wow, okay, I had no idea. And I want to do the reverse, and like making sure I tell so much more the people that, hey, you made a big difference in my life, because it is important for people to hear it, also to hear a little bit, to go back to your story in the beginning, Read, like the imposter syndrome. The more we hear about other people, the less that imposter syndrome can get a hold of us, the less we will trust it, because we have all these other people telling us.
And you
uh,
know, when you're being said that about being a teacher, right?
mhm.
I think if we go back to school, our teachers, they used to teach us not just to teach us the concepts, but to teach us in a way so that we can use those concepts to do bigger things than what our teachers did. And so when we are going along in this life, taking these small steps, we are all teachers. We are all teaching something. So we need to think from that perspective, that my teaching, I am teaching not just with this intent that this person should know this concept, but it should help them in doing bigger and better things or innovative things in life, which can actually be not just beneficial to them, but also beneficial to our entire society.
Yeah, and
I
to
really love to
yeah,
do that.
to
Yeah,
that
sorry.
note, that one of the reasons that I say I want to be a teacher, not only because I watched my parents, but more of like, there's a good teacher or bad teacher. The bad
Mm.
teacher teach you the knowledge. The good teacher teach you mentality, teach you approach. Bad teacher just take it as a jab. Good teacher will find what's good in this person. How do I, get in love this one? So that's where I want to say, in any profession, you have good one, bad one. It's like I want to be a teacher because I want encourage more good teachers to do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and I want to go back. I understand because I've seen these good and these bad teachers, but I'm also thinking that many of these so-called bad teachers might be bad for me, but might be good for someone else because they might inspire someone else. Not I was maybe not inspired by one of these teachers, but maybe someone else in my class was inspired, and I've seen that teachers sometimes behave different to me than to others, and because of whatever, it could be because they don't like me on the first day for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It could be because they had a bad day themselves. But yeah, I want to be that good teacher, what I hear you say. And I think on most of my days, because I will
Yeah.
also have bad moments,
I
but
would
having
say
that
that
inspiration. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that, I don't know if it is the match of frequencies. I don't know what it is, but you remember when I mentioned about one of my mentors at Nike?
Hmm.
I have to tell you that he was mentoring me, but I would hear other people badmouth him. And so there was this one time when I went and I talked to him. I said, other people don't like you, but you are such an approachable guy. Like, I love getting mentorship from you. And he said to me, Reet, I don't like spoon feeding. And that's why I don't have good connections of a mentor and mentee with others. But with you, when I come into the room, you will ask me about a problem and you will ask me A, B. I will give you C, D. But next time when you meet me, you will meet me at M. And now you have already figured out the steps to reach to M, right? So I think it's about when we talk about that unconscious bias or whatever we can call it, or that frame of reference, it's different for all the teachers and the students. So I
Hmm.
think that alignment needs to happen so that the feeling of the understanding of whether this teacher is good for me or not needs to come from within.
I really love that. It is indeed that important thing. And again, it depends on where people are. I can definitely see in some things in high school, I was totally not interested in being inspired by whatever. I don't want to mention certain teachers or whatever, because maybe that lesson didn't inspire me, but and so yeah, then I needed to be fed because I needed to get that knowledge, but I wasn't inspired to dig in myself on things that I might be interested now. And there were others where, like you say, I would just jump in and be being the one question, and that's I think we mention and see a lot of these things. Now, I feel already we're going into the challenges, and I want to move to, because we're already uh, going very slow, about that biggest challenge. Sorry, the biggest achievement. So we were talking about achievements, some of these things. What do you consider your biggest achievements? Um,
Go ahead, Yabing.
Um, it's a combination of multiple things
mhm,
that I have good health. I have a very good partner, my husband, and I have two happy and healthy boys. I have a work that challenged me and great people to work with. Not only that, I also have a friends, long time friends or new friends that I enjoy. So I think overall, the combination made me feel like that's my most achievement.
that's what basically you have a life that you like. That's and
Yeah.
that inspires you. That's
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
many people would envy you for that, and for multiple things. So that is a nice achievement indeed. Reed, what is it for you?
So, to piggyback on Yabing's points, I do want to share that as part of my healing, I started the gratitude journal. And in the gratitude journal, whenever I am thanking God or to Almighty, I always say this that I, when I look back all those years from where my journey started with a single mom, I have come a long way. Sometimes in the moment, you feel like you are struggling, but you should always look back to see, from where you have come to what you have come to become today. I remember starting our life from one bedroom apartment with kitchenette inside in it, with three kids studying in the same room. And today I am here where, I have all the luxuries of life. I can do whatever I want to do with respect to, I can like I'm independent to or financially independent to run my own company, right? But what
Mm.
I'm most proud of is that I have given the opportunity to others to become good leaders. And this is not, I'm not just saying for the heck of saying. I have to say this, that people play a big role in my life, especially those who have been reporting into me. I believe in truly giving the opportunities to the ones who truly deserve. And I have also done it in a way that I will not just spoon feed them constantly. One example I would share is that whenever I would go into a role, I will already think about succession planning, right? Who can I give this next opportunity to?
Wow.
Whether it's in my mentors, mentees, or people who are reporting in my org structure. And in one of the roles, what I did was, when I knew that this person is prepared. Oops,
Oh,
we lost him.
I think we lost him. Oh, do you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, do you see
Okay,
me?
somehow I let me first bring everybody. Let me. Can I move things? Yeah, I can move things around.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
I don't know what happened. Let's Read. Continue your
Let me
story.
start from that story. Yeah. So, in one of the roles, I knew that I am ready to move to another role, but I wanted to make sure that the organization was fully capable of running without me. So, with my succession planning, what I did was I actually left for Italy, and I told my team that I'm going to be in Italy, I'm going to be on a cruise, so I won't be accessible at all. That was actually truly my test. My boss knew that I'm available over the phone, but none of my group, my department did not have any clue that I'm available on the phone. So
Mm.
3 weeks, they were able to run on their own. And the day I was supposed to fly back into US, it was a Sunday morning. I reached here, and there was a security incident. And the person who was going to be a potential successor, he called me and he said, we have this security incident and so on. And I said, hey, Josh, you have been dealing with this for the past 3 weeks. You were able to do it for the past 3 weeks. I have full faith in you. I know, full confidence in you that you can do it. And he did it, right? So, what I'm trying to say is that it really makes me feel that I have accomplished whenever I uh, create these new leaders,
Mm.
whenever I build that capability in somebody that they can do something big. That really inspires me, if that helps.
Yeah, I really like also when you say that it's yeah, also the way you do it. Like, okay, when you start, basically this is what um, Dr. Coffee says, beginning with the end in mind. You're already thinking about the next step, and I love your story about testing people, because yeah, I know so many managers and leaders and whatever that they will be available during the whole holidays, and actually this is indeed a perfect test. You go to a conference, you go to somewhere else, what can my team do without me? I heard a story about a very small company. They were preparing, um, they were working on a client for 2 years to get a certain client, lots of money involved that would really transform the business. And then the business owner had to go to surgery, and the day of his in surgery, a fax came in, so that tells you how old that story is. A fax came in, and that client said, "Okay, we want to do it, but we need to have our last test. We need to have your signature by by the end of the day, so that we know that we can trust you, because we're bigger and you're smaller, and we want to be sure that we can do that." And nobody in that company dared to sign, because they were like, "Oh, but the boss is in the hospital, we can't reach, he's in surgery," and blah blah blah. And later he told me, because I was coaching him, it's like, it's incredible. Everybody knew we were working for 2 years on it. We wanted to have it. They finally agree. They send it, and nobody dared to sign. Well, everybody knew that I wanted this. And yeah, it's because he didn't prepare them for them, and he knew that. That's why he looked for coaching, because he said, "I really failed if they didn't dare to do this without me. We have to do this." And I really love how you do that with the people that can do that, because you can test. And
it starts from what we started, what we shared earlier, is that you will never be somebody who you are trying to make ready for a particular role. They will never be ready while you are there. They will never be fully ready, right? They have to be on in those shoes to be fully confident. How can you put them in those shoes without getting hurt, right? Without getting into the hospital yourself. So I think it has to be an innovative kind of mindset that you need to have, whether going to a conference or something. You always need to constantly think about who it is that you are going to be prepared for, so that the organization is not fully dependent on you only.
yeah, and if
You are
something
not a
goes wrong,
single point of failure.
yeah, and if something goes wrong during that period, it's okay. There is nobody to blame. It's like, okay, you did your best. It was not your role. It's okay. If you're new into that role, you feel much more like, "Oh, I have to do it, whatever." And I've seen people trying out the role, having all the stamps and having all the new contracts and lots of money to that, and after 3 months saying like, "I don't like the job. I'm good at it, but I don't like the job." If you've never done it, if you've never tried, after your holiday, people can say to you, Reed, like, "Oh, I'm really happy that you're back, because I don't want to do your job." And then okay, I might have prepared the wrong person to do that job, and I don't have to tell this or that. We can try it out a little more, but if this person really doesn't want to do it, that's fine.
Mhm.
That's a lot harder if you already prepared and then you're gone, and then they say, "Oh, no." Wonderful story. Did we have achievements for both of you? Yes, I think so. So let's go to that next one. Personal agility, because this podcast still is called Who's Agile, although I have people who are much more in the security world. I still feel that there is a lot of agility in both of you. So do you have a personal agility tip to share?
I can start that. Actually, Ray touched on this one. There's another model I have, that is, I don't pursue perfectionism. I pursue excellence. And the perfectionism that will prevent you take more risk, and unnecessarily, frankly, to stress you out. If you're an athlete, you may have to be perfectionism or pursuing a championship. But at work, or even in real life, right, personal life, you really don't need to be that way. So, for example, I was letting my kids know that when they were really young, that I will not raise you up as I was raised, in China. What do I mean that, right? In China, we try to be, the best, 100%, the high competition, because my generation, we publish the rank every exam. You want to be the top, right? So in other words, the philosophy was, if I got a 98, no, not good enough. I need to be 100.
Yeah, because if you publish the rank, by definition, most people lose, because there can only be a small amount of people the top, because even if you have 100%, if everybody's 100%, I don't know how they rank it, and it's on time, fill it in or whatever, like most people will lose in that system.
Well, it depends on how you define. People can say, I can be, if I'm 25, I want to be 20 tomorrow, right? That's still a progress per se. But the point is that I tell my kids, if you have to spend 2 more hours to get you from 98 to 100, don't worry. I'd love you to put this two hours to figure out what you like. What is your passion? I don't even mind you put the 2 hours, playing games. It's like there's no need to force into the 100 just because the competition or whatever. So maybe again, this is not true for every single situation, but that's a philosophy that not only I'm applying to myself and also I'm applying to the kids as well, teaching them, right? That's coming back to the question you had, agile, right? You need to take a risk. You want to fail fast. That's about agile. If you want to perfectionist, it will prevent you doing so.
Yep.
That's my tip. So it's like pursue excellence.
I love that, because indeed that's the thing. What is excellence? And then, like you nicely interjected in my question earlier on, like you can still improve that thing, and there is something that's really wonderful, and it doesn't block you from not trying, because that's the other thing with perfectionists. They rather do nothing and fail than do a lot of work. So really wonderful. Reet, what is your tip?
So before I get into mine, because there are multiple, right? But I wanted to mention something on these lines, is that I think being a perfectionist, or being not being a perfectionist, being at an excellence, it's a journey. I have to say that so when I started posting on LinkedIn, this was like 3-4 years ago. One of our industry colleagues, and the one of the agilities I'm going to be talking about is being authentic. And that's why I keep on taking names of people. I hope that they don't mind. So Olivia Rose is one of our peers, and she reached out to me after reading a couple of my posts, and she said, you are a perfectionist. It shows in your posts, because you have very well thought of the topic, and you are not writing it from the heart, you are writing it from your brain. And you are really making it like a piece of perfection, and you should not do that. And that is why you are not able to write frequently, right? So that's the thing which I learned from her, that keep on posting, keep on putting things out there, because these are the minimum viable products which you are putting in there. This will help you in your own personal growth and into reaching that point of excellence. So just wanted to call that out, that it has been a journey for me.
And
Yes.
can I add one more thing before I switch to yours? That is, actually, we talked about this, like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago, about a woman that they need to feel 200% ready, right? I'm using this to also encourage others to say, I may be exaggerating, but when we feel like 80% ready, we look at, oh my God, those 20% we still don't know, so we don't talk. We're opposite. Sorry, that there are men, when they know only 20%, they will talk. So we want to take the opportunity saying that pursuing perfectionism a lot of times prevent you doing many things, taking risks, getting you out there. And particularly women, we may have this kind of like habit that we need to break. Right. So like Olivia is a good friend of ours, and then she's so good on those kind of things. It's like we grow to this point that others, we want them to hear and then probably practice much early on in their life.
Yep. I fully agree. I have to tell you that I even learned how to take compliments.
Mm.
where somebody called it out that, like, they were giving me a compliment, and I reflected it back on them. And I had to actually, this is a tool which somebody created, one of my coaches created for me, where they said, if you don't feel comfortable when somebody is giving you a compliment, you just keep a heart on your your hand on your heart, and gracefully say thank you, right? I had to practice it over and over again to get to that point. But
And I learned it from you.
oh, really?
You
I
told,
want to
you told me, so I learned it
that
from you.
that's really wonderful, and I love. Yeah, I don't want to go into much other stories because of the timing. But I've seen this many times, both with men and women, and indeed much more with women. And it's actually offensive if somebody gives you a compliment from the heart and you say, "Oh, it's nothing." You're basically insulting the other persons because that opinion is not, and so it's not true. It's really important, and it might be that you don't understand the compliment. Okay, then we can ask more questions or whatever. But it's always, if a person really truly says something that he or she means, it's important that we let it in,
Yes.
and it will help us grow. It will help us in so many ways. Let's move to that.
Actually, I wanted to answer it quickly. Is
Yes.
that my agility is in honesty and trust. I,
Mm.
I like to be honest with, um, like, for example, even in this interview, right? I'm taking names of people where, because I want to make sure that I'm always being seen as an authentic. So that's why, like, when you are like, so Nike had 10 maxims when I was working there. One of the maxims which always stuck with me was do the right thing, right? And doing the right thing means honesty and creating that trust for me. If there are issues in your application which you have developed, or if there are issues with respect to which you realized, if there was a failure in one of the programs that you started and you realize that, hey, we have actually, there is no ROI in this and we have wasted the funding in there, do not be fearful of calling that out to your leaders. Do not hide that. Do not put cover on it. Say it openly and honestly, because then only people will be ready to help you. Otherwise, you will actually put yourself into more trouble.
I really love that, and indeed, it's yeah. The proof is in the pudding in this podcast, in the way you've talked about people and everything. So, um, we really have to really. This is very hard to keep tracking the time, but officially we only have like 8 minutes left, and we still have lots of questions. So I'm not sure how we'll deal with that, but we'll see when we get there. So let's talk about remote working. I don't want to skip this because, especially with security, I think that's remote is also important, how we deal with that. So what have you learned about remote working?
Yeah. So the way I see it is that, see, all of us humans, we are social beings. Um, yes, remote work is convenient, but connections, they still matter. During COVID, I realized that, especially my husband, he had been working remotely for a long time. But many people who were already working remote, they realized that the flexibility alone isn't enough. So they were also looking for that connection, right? Now, most of the companies, they are offering these remote working capability. But if we look at it, that, like, okay, the work is also somewhat similar, if the compensation is also similar across the companies and the benefits are also somewhat similar, what differentiates you from other companies is the culture. And I think, as a leader who is managing this remote workforce, you are no longer just managing work, you are hosting these parties as well, right? You're creating that space where people connect, talk to each other, learn, and feel part of something bigger. So I think that it is our job to create that space for our employees, so that it's not just us who is talking to them, they are talking to each other as well.
Hmm. And again, showing the responsibility at these kind of things, that not everything is coming back to you.
Yes, and I think that the only way we can be successful by doing this remote kind of setup is that if we run it on an intentional connection.
Yeah. And from my perspective, I agree with what Reet says, particularly the connection. I think it's a philosophy behind the things I'm going to say. So there are two parts I want to mention. First one is what I told my team. I said, number one, from work perspective, as a security team, security professionals, you are not the only one doing security for the company. You are relying on everyone do the security, right? So that means a lot of times you are asking them to do A, B, C, D. Naturally, if this person know you, he may, and particularly if you do enough for them, right, build a credibility, they may just, return the favor, do it for you. If they don't know you, you may be the lower priority on their list. So from work perspective, I encourage everyone knowing more people, create the connections, network with everyone. So such that, on the personal level, people willing to do the things for you. That's one side. The second side is I understand everyone is at a different point in their career or in their life, right? You may have brand new babies. You may have other stuff you have to handle from work perspective. But as long as you have a desire for your career growth, you need to understand that exposure to others, exposure to leadership is really, really important. Running into someone, chat for 5 minutes in the cafeteria has more weight than, find another 30 minutes to discuss a work. Because remote, you have to schedule the call, figure out, what do you discuss? Talking to them, chat with, families and others. You don't realize those value, frankly, until very, very later, because it's unspeakable, I think. So I'm encouraging people says, hey, the work, the company requires 2 days. If you can come for more days, please do, right? If not, that's okay, because again, everybody's at a different, time. So this is one kind of topic related to remote. The second piece is I think chatting with my peers and learning from my experience as the CISO. Unless your company is fully, everybody is remote. As a CISO, back to the point of you are relying on so many others, you have to partner with business. I will highly encourage CISOs are in the office.
I love that thought, Yabing. So I have to say this, that, during COVID time, it was such a huge challenge for me because I'm an extrovert person. So, and I believe in physical connection because I feel that 80% of the conversation happens through your physical gestures. You can see so much, you can read so much in there. And during that time, our employees were not coming to office. But we as leadership group, we decided that we are going to be there. And I learned something from my son, how it is that the younger generation sometimes teaches us as well. I was going to be on a panel when I was preparing for a question. It said that in remote setup, how are you providing visibility to these employees who are not coming to work, right? And my son gave me this answer, and I have been practicing it ever since. He said, you are going to be providing that visibility for them in that room, whether you bring them along with you where they are joining the room remotely, or whether you voice their ideas into that leadership room. So I think it is so empowering that what you said, that yes, we as leaders, we need to be able to connect with our cross-functional partners, number one. Number two, that we are that voice of our people. We should not shy from doing our part for the people who are reporting into us.
And I want to add a little bit. It's also the visibility on the other side, because when I did remote work before, and then of course, in COVID, everybody was home. And my children, although I've been telling them for a long time, like, look, in Belgium, so I'm Dutch speaking, where in Belgium, officially, we have three languages, Dutch, French, and German. But actually at work, well, I speak much more English. But I'm also speaking a lot of French, which my children don't like learning, just like I didn't like learning when I was younger. But and I could tell them like, oh, I do speak French, blah, blah, blah. But they don't see it. Once everybody was at home, they actually noticed like, wow, you speak a lot of French. So they noticed like, and so they saw a different part of me which they didn't know, because of course I was at home, I was at work, and they don't see it. Yeah, they know a little bit what I'm doing, but now they could literally physically follow it from a distance, hear me thinking like that. That's also a visibility, I think,
Yes.
is in these kind of things. It's again that example for many of us. Okay, we're out of time, so I don't know how to deal with this now, because I have extra time, but Reet, I think you have to go to a meeting, right?
Let's do it. I do have 15 minutes.
Okay. We talked about both parts of remote work, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's go. So I'll have to take care that I tip it out. Let's start. So let's talk about a book. And we talked already a little bit about your book, Reet. So I'm going to skip this and let's talk immediately about the book that you want to bring in, Yabing.
Cool. I'm bringing this book. Let me see if I can. A Day in the Life of a CISO.
And this is the book to
Yes,
show it
yes,
a little
yes.
bit easier on screen. All right,
Yes,
go.
thank you. So after Rita and I had our first book out, this is my second book, but I'm contributing to the book. And the author is David Gee. He was a CISO CIO before in Australia, and he's retired. And he collected 28 CISOs across the world from different continents, different countries. Everybody is telling their own story. So I did contribute a chapter, 15 pages or something. But what I'm learning is from others, right? Everybody is telling their own journey, the tips that they have, the lessons they learned. I think back to the point of community, right? This is a community. Not only we are telling a story of to understanding each other, but we are taking this to help others to grow into the CISO role. Right. This now it becomes a way like coaching others to learn the lessons from us. Right. You may be like a quicker into the CISO role. So when I look at the book, it's like from very beginning of how you want to be a CISO or first 90 days to the how to run the program, how to enable business, right? The whole like that level, but also has like from detailed vulnerability management to like everything high level about strategy, right? About relationships, and also touch on many things about personal resilience, leading the team, leading ourselves. So it's very comprehensive because everybody has their own interpretation and also journey. So I thought it's a very good book that if someone wants to be a CISO in the future, I think they could look into that. Have a read.
I really, yeah, go ahead.
I would like to add to that. I sometimes feel that CISOs are a unicorn. Because and this is a true story that when I took my first time CISO role, just 2 months into my role, I called the CISO of Nike. His name is Ryan Fusselman. He was the CISO at that time. And I said to him, when I was at Nike, I never truly knew what your role is. And today I have a different kind of respect for you, because it's not just the internal partnerships, internal connections that you need to have. It's also the external connections you need to have with your peers in the industry, with local law enforcement, with FBI and others. It's because you are dealing with so much that you need to have all those connections. It's a multifaceted role, and that's at the same time, I feel that that is what makes it so exciting.
It is, and a CISO role starting from end of '90s. The first CISO came out. I mean, could have been in the banking. To right now, the role itself also has evolved. Responsibility, the focus, in the what and the how. Right, that's changing so much. So that's another interesting part.
Mhm. I wanted to add about what I like about these kind of books is that it's really um, you learn about different types of way how people do something, and even if you don't do that role, I might still be interested to learn because, like Reed just said, okay, I still have to work with these people. What is their life about? So that's interesting as well, and yeah, that way I really like these kind of things. And Reed, okay, we talked already about that one book that you had. So let's say let's skip it. But you also have the this other book, if I remember correctly, and I'm
Yes.
trying to go
So
there.
I
This one.
I have this book.
Hmm.
Yes, it's the autobiography of a yogi. I started reading it as part of my healing process, and I
Hmm.
came. The reason I started reading it was somebody. Uh, this book was given to my son as a gift by somebody, but he never read it. It was lying somewhere, and then somebody told me that Steve Jobs was also going through some hard times in his life, and that he read this book. I started reading it. I'm still reading it, and it reminds me that leadership without inner grounding, it eventually collapses. And
Mm.
so I really recommend that people read this book. It answers so many questions, not just at a personal life level, but also at a professional life level. I really think that people should read this. This book was actually given as a gift during Steve Jobs' funeral. 500 copies were distributed at that time.
Wow. It's yeah, wonderful story. Both stories are really wonderful. Let's move to that. For me, it's always a more interesting question, especially with conversations that go in all kind of directions. So, what's the question do you think I should also ask you, and what's the answer? Is there a question? And we can with duos, I sometimes turn it around. Is there a question you want to ask your colleague, or do you prefer to ask a question yourself? Both options are
I
Uh,
can ask it to myself sometimes. I feel like, and it is tied to the story which we have been weaving in that, like, okay, looking back from where you came from and where you have come today. Um, if somebody was to ask me this question, maybe they can ask me, what do you wish you had known earlier in your leadership career?
mm,
And I think now that I have come so far away, I have learned that the strength is not to know all the answers, but truly the strength is to create a safe space for the right questions to be asked in that same room.
wow.
the question I have is a little similar. That is, um, what you learned that impact you most from somebody else. In other words, if I go back, right, to talk about if I could have learned this earlier, that would be wonderful. Is I learned from one of my coaches, one of my mentors, I should say that, very early on, where I came from different culture, like a Reet. I think it really, at that time, I was trying to fit into this culture, fit into a company culture. I was trying to, I would say, use my words now, is change myself to fit into someone else, right?
Mm,
Where through a conversation, and he was tell me, so what? The reason that that come up is like, talking about, because we're trying to fit into culture, I was not myself. I'm actually very, you can see, extrovert, active person. But Why was a manager? You put me into a room with all VPs, I will be very quiet. Why? Because I thought, oh, if I said anything wrong, they would think I'm stupid. They would not like me. They would not promote me. There was so much concern, right? Like I have, therefore, I was not myself. So he's teaching me, so what? If they don't like me, so what? If they don't promote me, so what? This may not be the right place for me, right? That two words, so what, stuck with me. I don't mean useless as I don't care about anything. No, what I meant is when you were like back to the taking risk part of it, right? When you were trying to assess things, ask yourself, so what?
Mhm. So what?
Be yourself is the most important thing that will let you naturally shine, and that will keep you excel every day is being yourself. And then that also give you confidence, and then when you start getting those confidence, it's like, so what?
Mhm.
so,
I
so
love it, Yabing. I have to say this that I struggled with this with my accent. Where
Mm.
when I was, meeting, when I was going through struggling with those gatekeepers, they will purposefully ask me whatever I said, would ask me to repeat it. And it really impacted my confidence so much that one of the leaders, one of the mentors, he said something similar. I don't remember that he said so what, but he said, do not change yourself. Do not change your accent. Don't get impacted by these comments that you are getting. Your accent is perfect because that is who you are. If you change yourself, then you are no longer Reet Kaur.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
the most important thing is like stick to yourself, be honest, be integrity, right? Being genuine, and then that I hate to say this, is like when you are trying to change you to be somewhere else, somebody else, you will never be them, and you will never be successful. Be yourself, give you confidence, and confidence give you everything else. Of course, you got to be good, right? But that's the thing. It's like being good itself is not enough. You see?
But it's but yeah, most people are good enough, or actually already good, because like you said, we talk about perfectionism. People put the bar very, very high, and indeed then it's not enough. But not for I'm not good enough, but for gatekeeper reasons that, yeah, come up with all kind of thing that is not important,
Yeah,
or
and
not so
that's why
much
the last
important.
thing I would say is that go with the flow. Whatever doors are being opened for you, go there. Like go with the flow, right? Speak up in a room. Go with the flow. Go with what your heart is telling you in the moment. Because when you go with the flow, opportunities are automatically going to be appearing in front of you.
And then
Okay, and
can I
wait,
just
I
add
want
one?
to go because we only have like 3 minutes left. So I want to go with that flow, in the sense that giving you read the time to who do you want to ask next, and then you can bring someone in, and then we can let you go to your meeting, and I will finish just with
Okay,
Yabin.
great. So I would like to suggest that you invite Caroline Wang in here.
Hmm. And
She
that's
has
her, if I'm correct.
is, yes, and this is her new book, which is coming up. She is currently working in Teradata, but she has so many successful LinkedIn courses as well. And she is one of the empowering women who I look up to sometimes. So, uh, really vouch for her, and you should definitely invite her on your show.
Good
when I
idea.
will when I
Always.
will restart this series, she will definitely on the list. So I will let you go to your meeting. So you have
Thank you
just a
so much.
couple of minutes, and
Thank
we'll
you.
we'll finish here with Yabin. Who do you want to?
And she's been my friend, I mean my coach. Her name is Shamna, Sham, Shamna, N-A, and Nandu, Nadoo. She has been CISOs, and she's kind of retired CISO, and then is on the multiple boards. You really look up to her not only that, she has done so much impacting, me and others, but she's still hardworking, really good leader and a very good woman leader as well. And I think that it's really worth you interview her.
Okay, we didn't have time to prepare this, so I don't have a picture of her, but I'll definitely, when you send me the links, I will add her to the show notes. It's definitely something to have. Yeah, I really want to thank actually both of you because of time limits is a little bit strange, but still, read that goes for you as well if you read back or listen back. For me, it's a wonderful conversation. It's always the energy. First of all, doing with one person is already great. With two, it's even more. And this conversation, it flew. I had the feeling like if we would have had the time, we could talk for 5 hours doing these
Yes.
things.
And
So
thank you for having us, particularly make us your last episode, before your break. So really, really appreciate that. Come
yeah,
on.
it was really fun, and like, yeah, it's funny to have one episode that is aired this morning as so-called the last episode, but by the time that was recorded already, I think like 10 minutes after I recorded that, I received an email from one of you like, hey, we can still do it then. It's like, oh, great, wonderful. And that's again that example of Reed says go with the flow. Well, things change, and that's very fine. I still get lots of energy. I just feel it now, how much energy I have. So I just know that the next couple of days will be less energy for editing and everything. But I'm so happy. And this is why I was also happy that, again, both of you brought someone to invite, because it will inspire me at some point to restart. It's just that at the current moment of where I am with work and everything, that it's not possible to combine it. But yeah, conversations like this was so. I feel a little ashamed is the wrong word, but a little bit like I had to cut the conversations a little more than I'm used to. And I like to go even more with the flow, but okay. We've been recording now for more than 2 hours, so that's and I knew up front that that would be the limit, so that's a little
Yeah.
bit of what we did.
It's our pleasure to be on your show, and really appreciate it, like things like this you did. Again, back to the community, like give back. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And well, yeah, I will do the editing not tonight but tomorrow. So if you can send me the links of like the people and things like that, would be really wonderful. And I'm giving you back your time for the rest of the day. For me, this is the end of the day. I'm going back to my family, but for you, I think there is still a big part of the day left. So
I'm heading to the
enjoy.
airport. I'm heading to the airport right now, actually.
Okay.
I'm traveling.
Okay. Well, enjoy traveling. I hope it's more fun than it sounds, because traveling can be sometimes a little bit different. So.
Heading out
Okay.
vacation.
See ya.
So bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Thank you
Enjoy
for
your
watching
holiday.
Who's Agile, where the stories of agilists come to life. I hope you liked today's interview. Subscribe if you're not subscribed and want to get to know other agilists.